Welcome to the HNM Podcast, where I interview the experts on industry trends, leadership insights, and team development tactics in IT, telecommunications, and utility infrastructure. I'm Heather Moyer, President, CEO, and founder of HNM Systems, Inc. And today we welcome Dasani Madipalli. Dasani is currently a program manager at Microsoft and has previously interned at Google and Khan Academy as a software engineer. She is a career coach, doodler, artist, writer, blogger, and professional as a daydreamer as they come. She's a creative problem solver who loves building, creating, and learning. Welcome, Dasani.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thanks so much for joining us. So you have such an inspirational background. Tell us a little bit about what you're doing today at Microsoft.
Yeah, so at Microsoft, I'm product manager on Dynamics for supply chain management. So Dynamics for supply chain is a product that helps big companies and enterprises manage their supply chain. So figure out where their orders are, figure out how many stuff do they have in inventory, and just track all of that and document it. So I build features and I work with a whole lot of different people to bring things to life so users can have things to use.
Well, we appreciate that. Thank you. What was your inspiration and passion around technology and specifically behind going into STEM?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I never thought I would go into STEM. So when I was in high school, I really thought I would become an artist or a designer, and I was taking art classes, and then so I went to high school in India, and in India they have this system where when you entered 11th grade you have to pick 4 subjects and you just study those 4 subjects for 2 years, and they have them in buckets. So I had to choose between either doing computer science or art, and they gave us a 2-week frame where you can try out and switch around. And a few of my friends were studying computer science, and I had just heard them talking, and it just bothered me that I had no idea what they were saying. And I was like, okay, let me take this class and see if I like it and see if I can understand what they're saying. And I took it, and then the teacher just made us do a bunch of really fun puzzles, and I like puzzles. I can do this. And then after the 2 weeks, we actually started coding. Like, I don't know what I did to myself. This is so hard. But I was too late to switch, so I stuck with it and ended up really liking it. And then when I went to college, I thought I would be a psychology major, but then I kept kind of coming back into the computer science classes, and I was like, I should just do this. So yeah, that's been my path, and I can't complain. Yeah.
So you got the itch, but you were also an artist by nature, which is beautiful. Do you find that those things lend themselves to each other?
Yeah, I never, when I thought of computer science, I felt like it wasn't a creative field at all when I first started. But the reason I stuck around was because when I started learning to code and I got more into STEM, I realized it is actually a very creative field. You're building things, and you're literally making something from scratch. So there's a lot more creative elements to it than I didn't realize. So lots of overlap for sure.
Yeah, I love it. One of the things that you talk a little bit about in your literature and on your website is creating and daydreaming. And so how have you seen some of those daydreams or opportunities to create materialize?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think a lot of times, so some of them, there's a lot of stuff I want to do that just it's like ends up in that pile of dreams. But I think the biggest thing is like it really allows you to not judge yourself, because you're just free falling and like saying whatever comes to mind. And even if like 1% of those things come to life, that's like more than not allowing yourself that creative freedom and having that space. So yeah, I think like one of them was definitely the blog. Like I didn't think that was something I was going to do, but I decided to just try it out, and then it worked, and then I kept kind of doing it and enjoying it. So that was one thing that stemmed from that. And in college, I started an after-school program to work with local high schools, and that was also kind of off of that. I was like, oh, what are some fun ways to interact with students and share things that I like doing, and then I went down that route, and it ended up working out. So yeah.
Great. Was that at all influenced by the program that you had attended in India? Was that?
No, so that was actually a class in high school. So it wasn't, but then I did think about how I was able to learn to code in an environment where I could just fail very safely, and I wanted to recreate that. So I was looking into different programs, and I learned about Girls Who Code, and I wanted to, I thought, oh, this is they give you so many free resources and material, and I wanted to see how I could bring that to Cleveland, where I went to school.
Good for you. You mentioned Girls Who Code. So I think diversity and inclusion in technology is something that I'm sure both you and I are working on, and lots of other people are passionate about. Tell me about some of the ways and suggestions that you have that people can increase the diversity and inclusion in their workplace.
Yeah. So do you mean bringing more like diverse talent to the team?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think there's like a lot of different things you could do as an organization, but I think there's two parts to it. One is like, how do you look for talent in places that you normally don't look for talent in? And then the other is, how do you actually create like an inclusive environment on your team once you have people, or not once you have, but in general, like how do you make it easy for people to be themselves? And I think, definitely in terms of searching for talent, like making sure that you're not sticking to like your sense of what you think successful talent lies, looking in different places. And a lot of companies nowadays don't have that like requirement to go to college or GPA requirements, and I think that's really, you get a lot of like really diverse talent because of that, because you're kind of opening the door for more people to participate. And I think that's a really effective way. At Microsoft, we have like a program called LEAP, which allows like people from non-traditional backgrounds to break into tech. And I've met a lot of people who've done that program who just have like the most interesting backgrounds and they're really good at what they do. So yeah. And then I think for inclusion, it's really like, making sure that everyone is able to like voice their opinions and providing different avenues for that to happen. Yeah, but that's what I've seen work well. And this team's together.
Also, that it was in your experience that it was impactful to have a safe place to fail, and I think that's such a great thing. I'm sure that the LEAP program probably is inclusive of that as well. Folks in creating space for them to collaborate and to create, and giving them an opportunity to succeed, and making it okay to fail as well. Do you have any specific advice for other women interested in getting into STEM?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think the biggest thing is, sometimes you might find yourself being like one of very few people in a room. And what really helps with that is to seek out like a community in other places. And I think a lot of women in STEM are very willing to do that, because, it's once you like have a community, it's like that thing you didn't realize you needed. And so it helps a lot. And there's so many great like online resources, and social media makes it so much easier to connect with people across the world, and kind of make that community for yourself. So I found that really, really helpful, because sometimes you just need sounding boards who like understand your lived experience, and it makes a huge difference. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining our podcast. It's been a pleasure chatting with you.
Yeah, you too. Thank you.
Listeners, thanks again for joining us today. And remember to check out Dasani's website at dasanidecoded.com. Thanks again for joining us.